Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
Hi, my name is Tyler Fornes, and I am the co-host of The Good, the Bad, and the Hunky here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Every week, my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling and everything going on in the universe of Tony Khan. We talk about Dynamite, we talk about Rampage, and we will talk about Collision when the time comes as well, along with all the appearances outside of AEW from all the best talents in All Elite Wrestling. This is one of the more cohesive wrestling companies in the entire world, and we discuss every intricacy about it, including the unique booking of Tony Khan that is both a huge positive and a major detriment. Check us out every single Thursday here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Sunday the 30th of July 2023. This is episode 268, a momentous one, a historic one. It'll be my last hopefully my last recording from Thailand for a while before I make the move back to the UK. So maybe a bit of scheduling jankiness to work out. So we appreciate your patience in the interim, but there we go. Exciting times for the Abraham family.
It sure is. I'm excited for you. It's been a long time coming, and lots of roadblocks along the way for Joel and the family. But it is done, and he's coming home. Let's put it that way. He's coming home, and I couldn't be more excited for him. So. Should be a nice little change. You, the family, and it should be good. I'm very happy for you. I mean, this podcast has been what an adventure during the time of this podcast for you and your life. It is it's amazing that when the first time, episode 1, and like 2 kids. And living in a hotel and pandemics and then moving away, it's crazy. I'm telling you, you should write the book.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I sometimes think, I can't believe we're still going with this thing. We made it through Summer Struggle 2021. That was, I think, by the time we got through the weeds on that, I was like, well, we've hit rock bottom as far as New Japan Pro Wrestling coverage goes. There was never any danger of me stopping doing it just because I had nothing else to do at the time anyway. I was stuck in a hotel, so it wasn't like I had a ton of other stuff to be doing with my free time. So it worked out pretty well in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I listen. I wouldn't wish what you went through my worst enemy.
No, it was good. Like, think of all the extra time I got to spend with my family that I otherwise wouldn't have done. Had we made it back. I mean, newer listeners may not know this. If you joined the last couple of years, I wasn't supposed to be in Thailand. We came over to give birth to my daughter, and then we're not allowed to return to China because the government closed the borders. So stuck in a hotel for a year and a half. But that was very, very lucky for me because I was able to continue working remotely and spend a load of time with the family that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. Spent a lot of extra time with Esther. That's why she's what's going to be the polite way of saying this?
Extra.
Yeah. I like bacon. She likes bacon. She's just chiming in now. That's what
I love bacon. We're right up our alley.
And salmon roe. She likes salmon roe. You know what she started saying to me?
What's that?
A couple of weeks ago. I like lettuce and garlic.
What?
Did you hear that?
No, I heard.
What was the first thing you... I like lettuce and garlic, I think she said. No, so a couple of weeks ago, I was just watching the G1 show. I like salmon. She likes salmon. So I was watching the G1 show, and then she comes over. She sits next to me. She's looking at my laptop. She's like, "Daddy, what you doing?" I was like, "I'm watching wrestling."
Uh-huh.
And she points to the wrestlers on the screen. She's like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, that's Yoshihashi." And then she just stored that away in her memory somewhere. And now, just from time to time, completely random, like we're on the train going somewhere together. She just turns to me and she goes, "Daddy, I like Yoshihashi." So, grooving her to take over from me on the podcast at some point in the future. I like to go aeroplane.
Go on airplane, did she say?
Aeroplane. Yeah, she's excited to go on the airplane.
I'm excited for her.
I love you too. Yeah, we love you, Esther. The listeners love you too.
Hello,
everyone. Listeners. Hello, freaks.
Hello, listeners. Hello, freaks.
Right, you need to go to sleep now. You close your little eyes and go to sleep. What a ride.
So adorable, dude. Unbelievable. Look at you. Look at you. You're living the life. All right, well, listen.
Started off with the cat running, didn't it? Scampy and Katia running in and meowing and ruining stuff, and now it's the human version. So there you go.
It's unbelievable. I'm so happy for you. I haven't left my house in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah? What? Why? What's
just really fucking depressed. I don't know. Not to bring the mood down, but yeah, I've been really fucking... I don't know. It just comes and goes. Comes and goes, y'all. So I literally haven't left at all. It's fun.
Has there been any sort of changes in your circumstances that would have precipitated this, or was just...
I mean, maybe, but I mean, not a lot I can do about it. Well, there is plenty I can do about it, and I am doing about it. But, yeah, I mean, it's not weird. It's not, well, no, let me take that back. The actual 2 weeks is weird. I get it. But it's not weird for me in the sense of it comes every once in a while. Every once in a while, it rears its head, and then you kind of just fucking exist. But anywho, not to bring the fucking mood down. That certainly wasn't my intent. It was meant as a side joke.
No, I think it's important to have these conversations to normalise stuff like this, because I don't think enough people talk about things like this.
Yeah,
and Esther loves grapes, so yeah.
What does she like?
Blueberry.
Grapes and blueberries.
Oh, I don't really like a blueberry. Do you like blueberries?
Raspberry.
The standalone fruit?
No, in a muffin, yes.
Yeah.
Raspberry.
Yeah, I don't really like them.
I love raspberry.
Esther's just hijacked the conversation.
I know. I'm very interested in what she likes. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Esther, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
I like chocolate.
Ah, it's a good one. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I tell you what. Let's just do this. 2 hours of pumping her with questions.
I like to draw my crayon.
Right, I'm going to ignore her and try and plough through it, and hopefully she'll go to sleep soon. Let's start with... Oh, my God. A question from Liam. He says, what is the lamest thing you've done as a wrestling fan, apart from starting a podcast?
Oh, I was about to say, sitting here. But here's the thing, though. We were kind of... Like, when we started, it didn't seem like it was a flood of podcasts, right? It really didn't. Now it just seems like, oh my God, everybody's got a fucking podcast. So I kind of think we were, I don't want to say we were on the ground floor or anything, but like, I just think we were there before the boom, I hope. Weirdest thing I ever did as a pro wrestling fan. Probably a lot. All right, I'll give you one. So me and my friends at the time, and I was in like grade 7. Or yeah, probably around there, probably like 7th grade. We had a invitational battle royal in my backyard, and you had to pay $20 to get in. And just like battle royal rules, Joel, you have to push them over the top rope. We didn't have a top rope. I had a fence, so you had to pick up a person and throw them over the fence to the other side, right? So come to find out, in a shoot battle royal, it's a lot harder than a pro wrestling battle royal, Joel. People don't want to go over the top rope when they have to pay $20. So it went on for, before anybody was eliminated, mind you, at least a half an hour. At least a half an hour. So we finally said, okay, we're going to change the rules. You can pin somebody or throw them over the top rope. And there's this big kid, Brett. Brett was a fucking brick wall. Like, he was just huge. And so we Andre the Giant did him, where everybody that was in went after him to get him out first. And we got him out. We actually got him out. And then me and my friend, who I called Ace, by the way, for Cowboy Bob Orton Ace, and we wound up winning because we cheated the whole time by pinning people. Like, so I would get on top of somebody, and then he would get on my back, and we would hold him down, and then we won. And everybody was mad because we won that way, and we split the money.
That's amazing. That's not lame at all. That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yeah. We also did like so each of our friends, like, so we had 6 guys, right? And we would have territories. So we were kind of like the old school NWA, right? Where World Class was a part of the NWA, and Florida and Georgia and everybody else. So we would have that, and then we would have a draft, right? And then we would have our promotion, and we would book it, and then we would have meetings, weekly gatherings, to go over our booking plans and everything. And we had a world champion that we had that was like, okay, I need this world champion for these dates. And like, it was actually a thing. My promotion name, which has since been taken, by the way, was Pro Wrestling Revolution. That was my promotion. We wrote it in notebooks and everything.
All right. So what kind of concessions did you have to make if you wanted to book the champion for?
Yeah. So there was a fee. There was a finder's fee. Like you had to pay the NWA board, right? So it was like $5, right? And they just needed to make sure that they were open dates. Now everybody had to agree upon the fact that this was our world champion, and if there was going to be a title change, it had to be unanimous amongst all the promotions. But yeah, that was really it. That was you just had to go through the booking office, quote unquote, and then request the dates and pay the money.
So, if anyone from New Japan is listening, if Gedo wants to hang it up, then Damon's got experience.
You know
your way around the booking committee.
I think I still have one of the notebooks too. I think I do.
Oh, we've got to see this. We need some photos or scans of that.
I'll put that one on the Patreon. I might still. I'm almost positive I still do. I'm almost positive I still do. Like in a bin in the basement. Yeah, I think so. I might have to dust that off and see who my roster was and who my champion was. I think Adrian Adonis was the world champion at the time. Yeah. Not, the good Adrian Adonis, the Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis. I think he was the world champ, if I'm not mistaken. All right.
Oh, well, we're absolutely going to need to follow up on this. So you find that notebook for us.
All right. We'll have a special edition of the
Check on that next week.
Yeah. All right. 13 minutes in. We haven't said the word G1 yet.
We've got a few little news tidbits, actually, which I'm going to lump in together just for the way that New Japan are treating their foreign fans, US fans. First one, we got the Team NJPW International pre-sale tickets, which are being available for Wrestle Kingdom. You know, those royal seats, the ones that are not quite at the front row, but I think the international fans have access to ones like a few rows back from that. About $100 more expensive than what they're charging Japanese fans. And then also your thoughts on the Philly Cheesesteak Cup three-way ladder match that has been announced for the show.
Shit. Who in their right fucking mind thought that was a good idea? I mean, just can we just have a New Japan show? That's really what people want. Not, I mean, I just it's I was when I saw that I was speechless, and I don't know why I give a fuck. Yeah, okay. Here's why I give a fuck.
Yeah, can I just tell for listeners who are unaware, this is a three-way tag ladder match where one team is Hiromu and Rocky Romero, another team is Doki and Lowrider, and I don't know who that is, and I don't care to find out, and the other team is Master Watto and Blake Christian. So forget, factions and storylines. It's just absolute random selects nonsense. Philly Cheesesteak Cup, what is that? I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like so low denom. I just really, the Philly Cheesesteak Cup. Let me guess, you're going to play Rocky music when you come in. Stop it. Oh, my God.
I don't even like a Philly cheesesteak. I think they're overrated.
Well, you're wrong, but that's okay. That's all right. You haven't had a good one.
I just haven't had a good one. Yeah.
You haven't had a good one. I don't know, man. Like, this promotion sometimes, I just want to grab him by the head, bite him in the forehead. Because
a lot of us were expecting like Hiromu to have another title defense. Maybe defending against Mike Bailey, or anyone. He's defending that motherfucker left, right, and center in other promotions. So I think it was a reasonable assumption that he would be defending it on this All Star Junior Festival. But I can imagine him walking into the booking office going, "No, I've got a much better idea."
I mean, and here's the thing too, though. It's like, okay, not to say that they're going to have an easy time when they come over, right? Because they have good matches. They can have good matches. So it's not like it's a night off per se. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it seems like unnecessary violence for violence sake. You know what I mean? Like, why a ladder match? Why are we doing a ladder match? Like, what's the point? Just to do it? I just and I don't wish this. Understand, I do not wish this at all. But imagine if somebody gets fucking hurt, taking a dumb bump on a dumb ladder in front of fucking 1,000 people. Not even 1,000 people. Let's be honest here. 800 people. Are you out of your minds? What are you doing? What are you doing? And again, it's just random hodgepodge people. What happened to the idea? I thought this was supposed to be a tournament. Am I wrong? Am I misled?
No, it was. I mean, the Japanese version wasn't the tournament. It was just sort of a showcase. There was a lot of multi-man tag matches, and I think, the main event was Watto versus one of the Aoyagis, Asuki Aoyagi, I want to say. I'm going to get yelled at by the All Japan fans, but
all three of them.
It wasn't the tournament, but they did. Liam shaking his fist. But there wasn't any of this nonsense. This is just like fever dream, the sort of stuff you wake up and on the next podcast you'd be like, oh my God, I had the craziest dream that they booked a three-way Philly cheesesteak ladder match and all the factions were messed up and Robin was tagging with Rocky. Oh, that's absolute nonsense. You need to lay off the crack, my friend.
Yes.
But it's actually happening. And you feel they're killing Philly? Is Philly dead?
Philly's, I mean, come on. It's really, there is no one that's like, imagine spending $300 for front row. I know I harp on it, but it's just a preposterous number. And again, we don't know the cards. We don't know, and I guess this is the broader brush point. I absolutely fucking hate. And it's been this way for a while, so I don't know why I'm now complaining about it, but I've been complaining about it before. The idea of tickets going on sale, they got their money, and you don't know what the card is, you don't even know who the fuck's on the show, and they make these special announcements, and you're just like, what? What? What am I seeing? Like if people had a choice and knew the card, again, I'm not saying ahead of time, but at least a little bit ahead of time, right? Just I would be really fucking angry if I paid $300 and that was the show. And I know people are complaining about the Wembley show. Like they're like, what? What's happening here?
I'm seriously considering cancelling my trip to London because it's like the 3 matches I've heard booked for that are like Tony Khan's done it deliberately to annoy me.
I don't even know what they are, to be honest with you, but I know there's.
Okay, so this is what we've got rumoured so far. John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho, and MJF versus Adam Cole.
Oh my god, dude!
Can kill me. I will jump off the
top of
Wembley Arch. Yeah.
You and Bob Geldof. Oh my god! Wow, that's disappointing. And how much were those tickets? They were probably pretty expensive, right?
They were, well, for this shit, yes, too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you solve this, though. Like, I don't know how you solve this pro wrestling way of, okay, buy a ticket and trust us, we're going to put on a good show. And fingers crossed, it is a good show or something that would appeal to you. Imagine being like, okay, there's a concert on December 1st, but you don't know who it is, right? And you don't know if it's a genre of music that you like. You have no idea. You have no idea. And you like 3 weeks before the show, or it's it's I don't know. Fucking, I'm trying to think of somebody current. I don't have no idea. It's Beyonce. Okay, great. Or you show up and it's like, it's fucking Country Music Sue. I don't know. Maybe that's a terrible analogy. But you get my point. I don't know how to solve that, but it just seems I'd rather have a card announced and all set, and then you get the old card subject to change, and travel problems or whatever, and it doesn't happen. Like, I can understand that. I can appreciate that a ton more than buy tickets for this event, wait for an announcement. We don't even know who's going to be there. It's just the brand. And here's the thing too. I don't think anyone, even if it was, okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling is coming to town, would expect that. Like, it just, I don't know. It just feels so inauthentic. It doesn't, that does not feel like a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It feels like a show to cater to the lowest common denominator wrestling fan. That's what it really feels like.
Yeah, they always do this on the US shows, don't they? They'll crowbar in some sort of gimmick match, at least one. Stinks. Yeah. Invariably stinks. Yep. And then we're like, why are they doing this?
A Philly street fight. We're in the ECW arena, Joel, so there has to be a Philly street fight. Fucking Christ. I hate wrestling so much.
All right, the Grade 1 Climax.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's crack on with it. Matthew says, I'm loving the 4-block 20-minute format, but there's still a lot of mid floating around. What's the answer? Better entrance, blocks of 6 maybe. There's a lot of 2-time speed matches this week. I'm sort of torn on the format because I do actually like having the 4 blocks of 8 and the quarterfinals. There's a lot of uncertainty there. Like when you're in the 2 blocks of 10, you could look straight at the schedule for the final block night and think, okay, right, it's going to come down to these 4 guys. and everything else doesn't count. And then you end up in the doldrums as you get towards the back end of the tournament, where you know what the destination is, and it feels like you're just sort of treading water until you get there. But I genuinely think having this block set up makes it more exciting. I'm enjoying the 20-minute thing. I'm enjoying all the time limit draws. I think that's good. But I don't trust New Japan to stack that 32-man field appropriately. There's just too many guys, which we will get to, that I should not be anywhere near that. And I don't think it's a question of depth. You could have easily taken out, the bottom 5 performers in this tournament and replaced them with much better quality performers that they had at their disposal from Strong. You could take 5 of the guys that were at the Independence Day shows who are not doing anything. That could have filled in the spots much better. But I think it's a question of talent and being ruthless rather than the format itself.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that, unfortunately, I don't want to say bring down the quality of the G1 because I don't think it's been bad, but I don't know. It doesn't feel
Should be better.
Yep. I think. Yes, one. And it just doesn't feel special having guys in there that damn well shouldn't be in there. Again, throughout the history of G1, have there been people that you're like left scratching your head? I think somebody in our Discord brought up like a name like Jim Neidhart. If you go back in the history and look and see some of these people, you're just like, what the fuck? So yeah, I mean it does happen. I don't know. Like it feels watered down, I guess. I guess it feels diluted. I guess it feels that you could easily skip a day and not miss a beat, right? And I hate that. I don't like that. I wish it were special. I wish it felt special. Like, I don't know. And here's the thing too, Joel. And I know there's other circumstances that might impact that. But crowds and gates are low, and it just feels like something is not right. And the only thing I can kind of come back to is the fact that A, it does seem watered down, and B, like it feels like they're trying to cash grab. Like it feels like they're just trying to extend this and stretch this out as much as they can to find a way to make money off of it. Like you're not giving.
But I mean, the tour is the same length as it was if it was 2 blocks of 10. They haven't extended the tour,
right? But they're putting these people in these events that shouldn't be in these events, right? Like the idea of 32 guys and like 4 blocks and like I don't know. It just feels like we're just shoehorning in people for the sake of shoehorning in people. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you're not wrong. If you were given the decision, then would you go back to the 2 blocks of 10 for next year?
Yeah, I would, and I get your thought process of well, you kind of can predict as it goes. I think people care about G1 for 2 reasons. People care about G1, obviously the winner, right? We want to know who wins. We want to know who they're leaning on for a Wrestle Kingdom main event, right? And 2, quality matches, right? Do you really think anybody cares, like really cares about anything else aside from those 2 factors in G1?
No, those are the prime things, aren't they? I could make all the arguments I want about sort of the unpredictability and, not knowing who's going through and having all these fun permutations. But if you end up having to sit through Tangaloa versus Kenta, then all those arguments are rendered null and void.
Right. No doubt. Right. So it's like, okay, like it feels like there's more stuff that lands in that Gentleman's 3 area than anything else. And then you do have your moments where you're like, oh, fuck, that was a really good match. Okay. And then you have moments where it's like, this really sucked. This really blew. And I don't know. While it's always kind of been there, I just haven't felt it as much as I have during this tournament.
Yeah, I'm finding myself really interested and excited about A block, and then everything else kind of take it or leave it. Really, particularly these C and D block shows. They've not been bad, but they've just been absolutely forgettable.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like that.
No, they shouldn't. You would think, and by having those blocks, right? There's those 4 blocks. You would think you would have more opportunity for great matches and memorable moments and stuff that people at least are talking about. Joe, aside from our Discord, and it's not like you're going out there chatting New Japan Pro Wrestling outside of that, is there any buzz at all about G1?
Not really, man. I mean, again, we'll come on to it, but the big match that I think everyone was circling in their calendar was the Okada-Ospreay match. And that came and went, and everyone was like, that was pretty good, and that was that. And I think the buzz will increase as we get to the knockouts. It is a tournament that is backloaded for sure. So we are in the doldrums of the tournament at the moment, I would say. So maybe not a good time to be giving balanced analysis of it, but we can't lie. This is my honest perception of how it's going so far.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Unfortunately, I'm in the same boat. It's been, again, not. You know what though? It hasn't even been like how we usually talk about the meat grinder and the grind of G1, and even watching the G1. And I think that had a lot to do with, the mixed tag matches, or not the mixed tag, the multi-man tag matches leading up to the next show, because they'd be wrestling each other and all that stuff. It's just, it just seems very mid, as the kids would say. And I don't know. Maybe I liked it before. Maybe I didn't know what I got until it's gone. I don't know. You would think they would have more opportunities for great matches, but it really hasn't been there. There have been great matches, but I mean, has there been great matches, or have there been very good matches? Because I don't even know if good.
There have been memorable matches that have really excited me, that I've enjoyed a lot. But are they going to be match of the year candidates come the end of 2023? I don't think so. Again, I think the best is yet to come.
Right.
Once we get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, then we're going to see the real good stuff. Your stars matches. So my favourite match of the tournament is not a stars match, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I don't think there's been anything there's not been that match that's united the fandom and everyone saying this is a consensus match of the year candidate.
Right. And
Okada Ospreay should have been that. We'll come on to that, but
okay.
I think that
yeah. I mean, you're right. It's not fair to say that the entire G1 is that mid level, but because the meat and the potatoes are yet to come. But if I'm judging the meal so far, I've had a bland salad and lukewarm water and a weak drink and some freeze-dried shrimp as an appetizer. So far, it hasn't been that great.
Sounds like my aeroplane meal on Thursday.
Exactly what you'll be dining on. All right, so let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, and I think we did it justice last time, because I think the most interesting talking points are in A block, and there's a few in B block. C and D, there's not really that much interesting to say about it, and I think it's a little bit too early to be doing prognostications about block winners and stuff. We're hoping to record again on Thursday, which will be right before the block final. So then, we can sort of get into the meat of actually looking, okay, what are the permutations for the final night? Who's likely to be going through? So, I'll say for A block, I think it is worth going wrestler by wrestler. Some guys will have a lot to say about, maybe some less so. But top of the block, we have Sanada, who is already qualified. He's already won the block with 2 matches left, so he's got 10 points. So since we last spoke, he's had wins over Kaito Kiyomiya. No, not Kaito, I've said it wrong. Kaito Kiyomiya and Ren Narita. Kaito match was really good. The Ren match was not. Again, we'll talk about Ren Narita, but they lost it. Like they really, it fell apart quite badly, I thought, towards the end. And some of that, a lot of that was Ren. I think it was mostly Ren, to be honest. But some of that's on Sanada as well. And I said at the start of this tournament that Sanada's been put in a block with all these younger wrestlers. I'm not saying they're rookies, because a lot of them have got a hell of a lot of experience. But he is the older guy there. He's supposed to be the statesman there to ostensibly guide these younger wrestlers and sort of help them out and stop things like this from happening. And the Ren match fell apart quite badly. And I think a better wrestler than Sanada would not have allowed that to happen. So that is something that I raised my eyebrow and thought, this is not becoming of the champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I don't want to turn this into another litigation about, is he over? Blah, blah, blah. Listen to the crowd reaction. How much noise they're making? Because that's of no interest to me. But I thought his performance in that match was poor.
Yeah. And again, anybody can have an off night, but this is a person that historically we've always kind of pointed a finger at and like, okay, what are we doing? Why you have this many years experience and we're at this level and yeah, if you got the big boy belt, I would think expectations are, if you are in the ring, you should be able to be the traffic controlman and make sure things do not go astray, and calm it down and grab a fucking hold or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That one left me shaking my head. And again, 2 points for Ren Narita. What has he got next? He's got Chase, right? And Kiyomiya. I mean, I hope something. I said before that he was on my radar of a guy that, this is it. This is the time to shine. This is the time to go. And I know the idea of it being his first G1 and he's going to struggle and blah blah blah. Okay, there's other people that aren't, and I don't know. To me,
are we hitting the fraud watch klaxon? Has this been a fraudulent performance from Ren?
I'm not going fraud. I'm not putting anybody younger than X, in fraud, right? It's too...
Okay, can I reframe it?
Yes.
This is a guy who was labelled one of the Musketeers. We've had a long conversation about that, but I would say once you're labelled as a Musketeer, then your trajectory at some point should be future world champion. Now, he's 25, time is on his side. Do you see Ren Narita as a future IWGP champion?
Right now, no. Right now, I don't see it. Like, there would have to be some decent growth in the next year that would sway me. But right now, it looks like he's having trouble putting it all together.
Yes. And there's some interesting sort of storyline stuff with him being the only Musketeer not to get his first win, and whether or not that's going to pay off at the end. There's a lot of people speculating that he is going to spoil Kiyomiya. But I just think in terms of the technical aspects of his performance, like falling over during critical moments during the match, and his kicks in particular are really bad. Like he is whiffing on those. There is clear daylight between him and his opponent. And when you are calling yourself or are being called the son of strong style and having all those Shibata comparisons, that is not acceptable.
Yeah, you got to lay it.
You've got to do better than that.
Yeah, got to lay them in. It's.
And I was just going to say, it could be a confidence thing. Maybe he's seeing all these guys in his block outperforming him, and eating his lunch, and he's panicking. And again, that is a reaction that would alarm me, because that's the sort of thing that should light a fire under you and think, right, I'm going to work twice as hard now and show that I belong here. So we'll wait and see. He's got Chase Owens in his next match. I'm not holding my breath for anything brilliant there. But that Kaito match on the last night for his block, that's make or break for me. If he fails to deliver in that one, then questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's set up for him to have a great match, right? He's in the ring with a guy who, doesn't have a problem taking some stiff kicks in safe places, right? There's no doubt about that. So if he's going to lay him in, there's a good start. And the idea of him playing spoiler, and the idea of him getting a win, and the idea of him, in a big spotlight. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. This is a big spot. That's a big spot. Like, he's got to put it together for that match, because that'll give me, honestly, would give me confidence, at least, to say, okay, there's something here. Like if he shits the bed in this match, we're in trouble. We're in trouble with Ren, because here's the thing: we're not in trouble, but we know what we got, and it's not what we thought we had. Right? Can that change? Sure, absolutely. Can that get better? 1,000%. But as we stand right now, you're on thin ice. He has to be on thin ice, right? Like he has to have people looking at his matches and being like, okay, we need to keep an eye on him, because I don't know if this is going in the right direction.
Yeah, correct. I was talking to Manabu about this, and again, I should be very clear about this. He's told me some stuff that he has seen other Japanese fans commenting on, and
is he speaking for all Japanese fans?
He was very clear to point out this is not consensus. He has just heard these things and seen these things being said about
So the island of Japan says what?
He speaks for the good people, for the Nihonjin. Yeah. No, we are not doing that. But let me find exactly what he says, because it's the same stuff. We're watching the same product, but the consensus. No, not consensus.
You said the consensus.
No, I misspoke there. So things like his Cobra twist, people are not digging that. They think that's bad. They think his kicks are not effective. His interviews are thoughtless. People are saying that maybe he shouldn't spoil Kiyomiya at this rate. Maybe if that was the plan, maybe they should call an audible on that. But again, I'm not giving you data here. This is not saying a certain proportion of fans are saying this. This is just stuff that has been said. And the people in our Discord are saying the same thing.
I just got a breaking news flash from CNN. Japan declares war on Ren Narita. Wow. It's amazing. The whole country. All right. Well, look, what are you going to do, dude? It's an obvious thing at this point, and it's got to change. It's got to change. Got to change. Okay. Now, if I were to say to you, before G1, before a lot of this, and of all the Musketeers and Young Lions transitioning, would you have pigeonholed him in that I'm going to have struggles out of the gate?
No, he was so good on Strong, and he was so good at the back end of last year in the TV title tournament. He's regressed. Like, he's got noticeably worse, I feel.
Okay, so in your humble opinion, what I mean, obviously striking ability, interviews. Okay, I mean that pretty much answers the question. I was going to ask, what needs to change? What do you need to see? And it's all that. I would agree. It's a shame, but okay, not for nothing. We have a bunch of guys that are doing pretty well for themselves, and if you're going to say, okay, odds are somebody's going to fall behind, right? Odds are. Unfortunately, it's him, and we got to step up our game.
Yeah, and that was always going to be the case in this block. I did not at any point think that every single person in A block was going to deliver and they'd all come out looking like superstars. This was part of the the function of putting them all in the block, that it's sink or swim. And by contrast, some of them would sink. But on the plus side, we do have a lot of guys performing absolutely tremendously. One of them, I think, is Kaito Kiyomiya. He's been terrific. He's sitting on 6 points. So he lost to Sanada in a really exciting match that I thought sort of brought the best out of Sanada. And the Gabe Kidd match, that's my favourite match of the tournament, the one I sort of teased earlier. I thought that was just fantastic. The fire that both the guys were showing. And on paper, a match that starts off with a crowd brawl and ends up in a double count out, you would look at that and be thinking, oh, this is going to be crap. But just the amount of fire and passion, they just beat the crap out of each other. And, Gabe, I'll come on to Gabe, but I think Kaito is really delivering here. And I've said years ago, I think, on this podcast, that New Japan have been missing a guy like Kaito, a young, fiery, talented, technically proficient guy who's connected with the crowd, who can be the future ace of the company. Now, I do think New Japan has filled those gaps, and I think they do have a great collection of guys coming through. Just look at this block. But all the same, I think Kaito is acquitting himself really well here. Whether I'm assuming he does go back to pro wrestling now, but I think he's absolutely doing himself and his company a lot of favors by his performances here.
Yeah, once again, when we have Noah representation, it's always a good thing. Like it just the general feeling of, okay, a guy from the outside is coming in, and the possible matchups and the matches themselves are interesting, and then they always bring that element of fire and I don't want to say danger, but they're one of those guys that we covet. Right? You're right. Like Will Ospreay. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's an element that is desperately needed in New Japan right now. Like, I would, if there's any way we could keep him and maybe lose, if we could do the old trade, if we could trade Kenta, or I don't think they would do that. Heads up, we probably have to give him something good, like a blue chip prospect or something like that. Like, I would trade Kenta and Ren Narita, and I'll give you a 3-for-1. I'll give you Kenta, I'll give you Ren Narita, and I'll give you
Great Okan.
Okay, I'll give you Great Okan for Kiyomiya.
Sold.
Yeah.
Love him. Think he's great.
Yep.
There's a lot of questions about whether or not he will make it through to the knockout stages. At the start of the tournament, I would have said no. I'm still leaning towards it being Shota that goes through rather than Kaito. But to be honest, I think the quarterfinals will probably be better off having Kaito in it. And again, that's not a knock on Shota. I think it's been fantastic. But Kaito's been definitely one of the bright spots in this block for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, I know this is a New Japan Pro Wrestling show and tournament and all that stuff, and hopefully at the end of the day, we're here to help make new stars. But I would definitely do that. I'm not gonna lie, I would definitely do that.
We've got Shota Umino, who's on 6 points. He beat Gabe Kidd and Chase Owens. Gabe Kidd match was really good, but I think we're going to see some of his better work coming up shortly. He's got the match against Yota Tsuji, which I think is going to be really good, and I'll be interested in the Hikuleo match too. So I don't have a huge amount new to say about Shota than I did last time. I just think he's having a really good tournament. His selling, I think, is excellent as well. He's got that real sort of babyface underdog fire. And a little touch here, but the fact that when he was getting that pre-match beatdown at Korakuen from Gabe Kidd, he didn't take off his silky chicken fluffy trousers. He didn't stop to do that because he was under assault and he needed to fight back with everything that he had. Got a little bloody nose there. I thought that was a really terrific match against Gabe Kidd there. So Shota doing well, and I'd still, gun to my head, I still think he will be going through to the knockout rounds.
Yeah, I think so too. Give me your MVP of Block A.
It's Gabe Kidd. He has been bloody brilliant. He's already excellent at the heel control segments, and again, he's young, but he's not a rookie. He's been wrestling for a long, long time. He works the crowds like a veteran. Just little things like taking that lady's towel, just mixing up silly things like that with the vicious stuff like that. When he just put Kaito on the top rope and just shoved him off, or that top rope guillotine spot that he did. And he's a guy who I think is just a perfect foil for the Three Musketeers going forward. I've seen people getting upset about the pre-match attacks. It's just absolute nonsense because, again, I think the pre-match attacks have been really good. He always does something crazy in them, like doing a diving senton off a stage or backflipping onto a load of chairs. That, to me, gives that part of the match value and also plays into the story because it allows his opponent to outsmart him, as Ren and Kaito managed to do in their matches. My only worry, and this is a good worry for Gabe Kidd, that his talent and my expectations, and I think the fandom's expectations for him, are rapidly exceeding his push. Because I don't know where he's penciled in for the remainder of 2023, but it's almost certainly going to be lower than where I would like to see him, because I think he's terrific.
Yeah, he's up there. He's probably right behind for me. I think Kiyomiya has been just consistently awesome. Like everybody he's been in the ring with, I don't think we've had a stinker yet. But Gabe is right up there. All right. So who's been your biggest disappointment?
Well, there are guys. It's Ren. I mean, we've talked about Ren already. He is a guy who I think is underperforming. I mean, guys like Chase Owens, that's about what I expected from him. I mean, in a way, the one good thing I'd say about Chase is that we hate him so much that had us living and dying by the near falls in the Yota Tsuji match when he got him up for that package pile drive, and we were all terrified. We were on the edge of our seats. Right. Part of that fear was for the future of the mental health of the Discord, because I'm not going to dig up that old grave about the absolute nonsense that came up because of Chase Owens. But
I don't know.
Chase is a guy who, you know what, he has disappointed me actually, because he has every match with him. It's a Chase Owens match, and I think he does very little to showcase his opponent's strengths. And I think when you are ostensibly the veteran in there, the crafty veteran, part of your job should be to make your opponents look good. And I don't necessarily think he's been successful in doing that.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. I think that's a very fair, honest appraisal. Yes, I'm with you. And
the crowd are fucking dead for everything that he does. That too.
That doesn't help. How about Hikuleo?
Well, I'm glad you've asked about Hikuleo. I think his previous two matches, the Ren match and the Tsuji match, were really good. The Tsuji match in particular might be the best match we've seen from him since the Jay White match. And I really love the Jay White match, probably more than most people. I think Hikuleo is a guy who's really good when he's actually allowed to do moves. Now, Chase Owens did not allow him to do any wrestling moves in his match, so he looks crap on that because he didn't do anything. But here's a guy, I think his strikes are really crisp. His slams are all good. He needs to work on his presence. He needs to work on his aura. But I thought Yota Tsuji was the perfect opponent for him. And Tsuji's a guy, we've all talked about how exciting he is and his charisma and, his flashy moves. But we've not seen from him his ability to make other people look good. And he was the perfect opponent for Hikuleo. He was flying around the ring, bouncing off the ropes. And everything just came off perfectly. And he helped Hikuleo. I'm not going to say he carried him because that would be nonsense, but he helped Hikuleo to look like the monster that I hope and I believe that Hikuleo could be. And he's not the kind of monster that Bad Luck Fale is. It's a different presence. He's not like this slow, lumbering monster that's going to be stepping on people and working holds and things like that. He's a guy. He's athletic. He's he's quite diverse. He's got a very different range of skills, and maybe that's to his detriment. That if he was just good at one or two things, then he would just stick to those. But the fact I think he's good at a lot of things that I think maybe is meaning the matches involving him are not laid out to his strengths. But I thought the Suji match, that was the proof of concept. You run the match like that, and you can make Hikuleo look like a monster. Just little things like him refusing to go down for the curb stomps, and then he just grabs Suji's leg and upends him because he's had enough of that, and kicking Suji in the face when Suji was going for the spear, and he's just emoting a little bit better. He's seen a little bit more of that monster in him just because Suji was just a perfect opponent. And I guess they know each other pretty well from their time in the UK. They've worked together before. They obviously like and respect each other. But seeing that Suji match made me more excited for Hikuleo going forward. And seeing he's got Kaito and Shota next, I would expect more of the same. I think he will deliver in those ones. And I think people are starting to change their minds on him.
Good. All right. I'm in agreement on some. In the sense of, you're right. I feel like we're trying to do a lot more than what we need to do. Right. And I don't think we have, like, if we just focused on 2-3 things to do exceptionally, as opposed to trying a bit of everything. And I guess when you're in the ring and you might want to try different things and mix it up a little bit. I would prefer, let's focus on being a mean monster. Do you think,
yes,
when you see him, that there is a mean bone in his body? I don't.
You know what I mean? He's a smooth guy. He's good looking.
Yeah.
He's a smooth talker. But I agree with you. We need to not do the matches anymore, like the match that Carl Anderson did with him and Chase Owens did with him, where he's the babyface in peril and getting beaten down. But like, why? That's not doing anyone any favors.
Right. I mean, 1,000%. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And yet, that's what we're doing. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that doesn't really necessarily play to the guy's strengths. And maybe he's just one of those guys. Maybe he's got that Ricky Steamboat in him, where you could never turn him heel. Right? He's just not a good heel. He's just not. And I think that's maybe the biggest thing that I have. Like, a guy like that should be, in my mind, an ultimate monster. And I'm not saying he has to be wacky and he has to shave his head and he has to go, just, Gabe Kiddish. But, I'm not looking for Bruiser Brody. But in the same breath, kind of looking a little bit for Bruiser Brody.
I tell you what popped into my mind, Damon. I don't know if you've seen the Bruce Lee movie Game of Death.
I've heard of it.
The one with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in it. And the way Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is presented in that film is a cool, smooth dude, but then when it comes to the fight, he's just going to destroy you and beat the shit out of you. That is what I think what we should be aiming for with Hikuleo. And again, I think the Suji match showed that it can work, and they need to start presenting him like that because the crowd were reacting to it. I thought it looked like $1 million then.
I agree. But and I would go one step further, Joel, and say I would prefer him being more of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Airplane, and just I got to drag Lambeer up and down the court. Tell your dad. No, I'm a pilot. I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about, kid. All right, very good. Sorry about that. I had to get that in. All right, where would you like to go
always
next?
Always going to pot for an airplane on this. Okay, I think we're pretty much done with A block. Well, so Andrew says with Hikuleo's lackluster G1, what do you think of him teaming with someone like Lance Archer for World Tag League? No, I mean, I could see him. I think him teaming up with Tamatonga might be good. I could see that working. And I don't think he's had a lackluster G1. I think it's going to get better from here. But yeah, I would like to see him in World Tag League. I think with one of his brothers, that would be cool. Tama Tonga would be my pick. I think they would have good chemistry there. Louis also says Gabe versus Kaito match was forecasted how brutal it would be during the G1 press conference. Of course, we'll remember Gabe attacking Kaito during that. He also attacked Yota Tsuji, so that's one to keep your eye on. I think the Gabe versus Tsuji match is going to be very, very big. When Gabe went hard after Kaito, how important do you guys think it is to watch press conferences and post-match interviews? Yeah, I think it's really important. I always try to make time for that because I'd say the press conferences before tournaments are compulsory viewing. The post-match stuff, there's always nuggets in there. I never regret watching them. It's just 20 minutes. You put it on a double speed, you'll get everything you need, and there'll be some little seeds planted to get you excited for future matches or the next round of matches. So yeah, I would say they are important to watch. Any strong feelings on either of those topics?
No, I mean I definitely think it's something that people should watch because you're right. There always seems to be little nuggets or little breadcrumbs that lead you in a direction of, okay, where's this guy going? Am I as, do I follow through with that train of thought? Probably not. Probably not as much as I should. But yeah, I think it's definitely worthwhile.
Let's move on to B block then. So we got on the top, Will Ospreay, who has wins over Great-O-Khan and Kazuchika Okada. I thought those matches were both really good. The Okada match, again, that should have been a match of the year candidate, but I feel maybe condensing that into the 20 minutes might not have done them any favours there because it just came across to me just a little bit them playing the greatest hits, a bit generic. Like if I'd sort of said, close your eyes and imagine a 20-minute Ospreay-Okada match, then that's pretty much what we got. I don't think it was more than the sum of its parts. It was very good, but is there anything I'm going to remember about it? Probably not. And I think that there's a Multiverse Ace asked a question here. How surprised are you that Will got his clean win over Okada in the middle of the G1 and
Thank
not
you.
at a bigger event like Wrestle Kingdom or the G1 final? Should we see this as New Japan giving Will this win now because they believe he won't be with the company full-time next year? And yeah, him getting that big moment in front of 2,000 fans in the middle of a G1 tour was a bit of an eyebrow raise for me. And honestly, that and all the stuff that's happened this year with him, I'm not as interested or invested in him as I was at the start of the year, as I was coming out the back of Wrestle Kingdom. He just feels a bit disconnected from New Japan. The United Empire, I feel a bit disconnected, disunited, if you'll excuse the pun. If we're saying that he's completed his story, he's finished his story, he's beaten Omega, he's beaten Okada, what is there left for him? So I don't have any intel on this. There's no pastrami here or anything, but it is making me wonder about his long-term future with the company and what has he got left to do. I think maybe going forward, if he is going to be headed to AEW or whatever, then let's build up to, he mentioned the Three Musketeers. Maybe build up to Wrestle Kingdom match against Shota, put Shota over for the US title, and then off you go. I hope he does stay because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I think he's been one of the best wrestlers in this tournament. But I'm getting vibes that we might be approaching the end here.
I mean, there's always a possibility of that. I think New Japan always has that over their heads. Exactly right. When who was it that said that? Who the idea of we're always touting and we're always talking about, and not only us but other people when they respected people when they talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, of how and again I'll use Ospreay and Okada as an example. Ospreay comes in, he's a junior. Him and Okada are pals. Will starts to slowly move up into heavyweights, turns on Okada. Now they're having, matches that Will just can't win. He can't get past that fucking level. And boy, when that happens, this long-term storytelling is going to pay off when Will finally gets that win. And that's going to be a magical moment for New Japan in its what was it, night 7, night 6? It is. While I thought it was a very good match. I thought it was a very good match. I thought it was exciting. I thought there was tension. I thought there was drama. Yes. Do I think that that's the best that they had? No. I mean, I think that there was, maybe it was the time limit. Maybe it was whatever. It wasn't the best, but I still thought the match was fucking great. Boy, oh boy, what a disappointment. You know what I mean? Like, what a disappointment it is to have that. Know what it was for me? It was the realization that somehow, somewhere, we, and I say we, I mean New Japan and New Japan fans and New Japan followers, we have lost that element of building the story to a perfect crescendo, right? Because to me, to have that build and to have that story and to have that always in your back pocket, to know that when the time is right, you can drop that and it would be a magical moment. It was a win. And it was a win in a tournament that's important, but it wasn't a final. It wasn't a... I find it amazing how they dropped the ball on that. I really do. I'm dumbfounded by the idea of having Will just win that match. And again, it was a hard fought battle, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But what the... and again, the idea of this thing that New Japan is so good at, and yet you have instances recently, you see this. And I know we talk about change a lot. And we talk about how New Japan is able to make new stars, and you know, we have to do that, and the difficulty in doing that, and all that. At the end of the day, not only has the in-ring product been a bit of flux, we lost something with booking. We've lost something with finding ways to make people care. And you had something that was so right there, and you've been building for it for years, and to just let it go there, which raises the antenna of, okay, is this kind of like Will Swan Song, right? We're not going to build him up too big, right? We'll give him the win, but you know, we're going to kind of keep it undercover. And what more does he have in New Japan? I mean, the big boy belt, I guess, is the first thing that comes to mind. But I mean, is that worth it in the end? And going to AEW would, I hate to say it, it would make him more of a star than he is right now. So is he going? I don't think so. I don't. I really don't. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that are in line for it to happen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of reminded of the Okada Omega feud series where Okada won the first one, then they had the time limit draw, and then Kenny got his first win over Okada in the G1 with that 30-minute time limit, and then piggyback that the following year. Then he got his big win over Okada in the best 2 out of 3 falls match. But winning in that end of block decider felt, and that was at Sumo Hall. You know, that was in front of a big crowd, if I'm not mistaken. So that I don't think is a direct comparison. I think just the way it was buried in the middle of this tour was quite odd. But,
yeah. I mean, would you agree that the booking has gotten just... And even the idea of, like, we had somebody talk to us recently about how it felt like that the idea of 2023 being this chaotic and anything can happen and fucking we're going to throw shit against the wall and hope it sticks. I don't think we necessarily have seen that a lot with this G1.
No, my original prediction. What was my prediction for the final four? It was like Okada, Naito, Ospreay, and I think I might have said David Finlay. So that was very conservative predicting on my part. But I feel the deeper we get in this tournament, the more I feel that may turn out to be accurate.
Yeah.
But, we'll see on that. So other guys in B block, Okada, really good match against Yoshihashi. Ospreay match is very good as well. It's good he's got Okada. What else can I say about him? I think there's more interesting conversations to have about other people. Taichi sitting on 6 points, lost to Kenta, beat Yoshihashi. I thought the Yoshihashi match was fantastic. And I think these two guys, Taichi and Yoshihashi, actually, who are kind of, they're not young by any means. I don't want to say like, oh, they're the next generation of the sort of Ishii or Goto, hard hitting. They do feel like the modern day exponents of that never style match that we all love, where they're always giving it 100% and beat the snot out of each other. So I really enjoyed that Taichi Yoshihashi match as sort of a celebration of both of them and how far that they've come. And I feel that there's quite a lot of similarities between Taichi and Yoshihashi.
Yeah.
And I think very valuable guys to have in tournaments like this. Those are guys who, if we're going back down to 20, they are very, very valuable guys. I would have Yoshihashi within that 20. Taichi absolutely as well.
Yep, without question. Taichi, once again. Did you like the Kenta match? I thought the Kenta match was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was. That sort of hit the shenanigans sweet spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kenta ripping off Taichi's trousers. I liked him hitting Taichi's knee with the Defy title. That was creative. And Kenta I've poured a lot of scorn on, but I think in his previous two matches against Taichi and ELP, and the one before that, which, we gave him his flowers against Ospreay, he seems to have hit a sweet spot there that he is playing to his strengths and not completely phoning it in. The matches are not dog shit we got at the start of the tournament. I thought the ELP match was a big brawl, it was very spotty, but it served its purpose, I thought. And I thought both guys worked really hard, and I thought Kenta worked hard to help put ELP over in the end. So I think, Kenta's previous two matches, I'm giving him a thumbs up. I'm going to eat a bit of crow because he's a guy who I would have said definitely chop him. And again, if we're going back down to 20, I'd still say chop him. But I think in his previous three matches, he's turned things around and it's a bit more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, right. And I think, when you get those type of matches, they I'm not saying that they're super special, but they, I guess you appreciate the fact that he was once this guy, right? And you may not have him all the time, but every once in a blue moon, we'll see that. I think Yoshihashi's been great. Taichi.
I particularly like the Okada match with Yoshihashi, that he'd scouted all of Okada's moves. Like, he counted the Rainmaker about 10 times in that match, and that was great. Like, these are Chaos stablemate who should know each other very well, but I found that really compelling little narrative within the match.
Yeah. He, a guy, that's a hard spot too, if you think about it. Yoshihashi. He's in a block that, that's a tough block. That B block's a tough block. Kayfabe and not, right? Ospreay, Okada, like it's hard to get past those two, let alone, Kenta and even like a guy like El Phantasmo, who you would think that they had, decent plans for. But yeah, I think they have been solid. Speaking of El Phantasmo at 4, what are we doing here? What are we doing here with El Phantasmo? Are we waiting for the end against Ospreay? Is that what this whole tournament is?
Well, it's classic ghetto booking. He went on a losing streak, lost his first 3 matches, and now he's won his previous 2. So he beat Tangaloa in a match that I thought was pretty good, actually. My expectations for Tangaloa were in the gutter. Tangaloa, he's improving. I thought he was a good base for ELP and all his high-flying stuff in that match. So I thought he looked good then. And yeah, he had a really intense brawl against Kenta and took a lot of really nasty shots with that kendo stick and showed pictures of his back afterwards. So this is the classic thing of him eating shit in his first 3 matches, but then turning it around and having the big comeback. He's working really, really hard to win over the crowd, doing stuff like diving off the balcony. And I think he does have a really great babyface connection with the crowd. I've seen a lot of people saying that he's got no energy or no heat as a babyface. I think that's just inaccurate because I think the crowd are really responding to him. Now, what does this mean long term for him and the block? I think we are. Who's he got next? Let's see. He's got Taichi. I think he'll win that, and he's got Ospreay at the end. So he does have a chance of going through. Do I see him beating Will Ospreay and getting through? No, I don't. But I could see value in him going really, really close and just being a whisker away from victory and getting caught out at the end there. I could see there being some upside in that. But I think he's having a good tournament, El Fantasma.
Can we fantasy book for a second?
Let's do it.
We really haven't seen a lot of interaction between El Phantasmo and Bullet Club when it comes to just the animosity and the breakup and the separation and El Phantasmo getting booted. Do you think having some type of Bullet Club interference, participation in that match will happen or not against Will?
ELP versus Will? No,
no.
I don't. I do think there is an upcoming match where there may very well be Bullet Club interference, and I'll tell you what that is. I think that will be Gabe Kidd against Sanada. I think there might be some angle going forward where Sanada would be facing the runner-up in C block, which could very well be David Finlay. So there might be some kind of angle where all the Bullet Club War Dogs get the jump on Sanada during the Gabe Kidd match and try to weaken him, rough him up, injure him for the quarterfinals going forward, which may even allow Gabe Kidd to get a screwy win over Sanada, because Sanada's got 5 wins out of 5 so far. So
yeah, he's already won the block.
That would be one. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But if I had to pick one match that I think is going to have Bullet Club involvement, it would be that one. For ELP Ospreay, no, I wouldn't see any reason for there to be Bullet Club involvement there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Sonata's already won Block A, right? He's already banged that. He can afford a loss. And the only 2 that he has coming up is Gabe and Chase. I mean, he's beaten Chase. But Gabe? I mean, at the very least, there could be something there. Because, again, of anybody who can afford a loss, it's Sanada. He's already locked it up. I wouldn't be surprised.
That would also keep Gabe in contention.
Right.
Which would allow Gabe versus Tsuji to have Tsuji spoiling Gabe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, that makes some sense, right? I think. Right? All right. I know we're all over the place with B. But, I mean, all right, we can continue on with B if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only guy I want to talk about in B is Great Okan, who's eliminated. He's got 2 points, lost to Will Ospreay. Very good match. That's when I was saying to everyone, pay attention to that one. He's going to get a win over Ospreay and future United Empire leader. Nope. And then went and compounded that by losing to fucking Tangaloa. So, he needed a win over Okada or Ospreay in this tournament for his credibility, and he got 9 of those. He cheated, and he still lost. He is doing, he's tapping into heelish things like using chairs and using mist, but he's still losing. So my fear of him taking over United Empire with a big win over Ospreay is in the bin. But he does look like a geek. However, there have been other wrestlers that have said that about think about Sanada at the start of the year when he was jobbing to Manabu Soya in the Noah crossover show. And we talked about that, like, oh my God, what the fuck? Was Sanada pissed off? This guy's in the absolute toilet. But that was all part of the, quite often in New Japan, we do see guys go on the losing streak and then they'll turn it around. And very rarely do we get the losing streak thing and that's it. They're just a jobber. It doesn't happen like that. So maybe this is just me huffing the copium, but I do feel that there is some kind of turnaround for Great Khan. I don't know if it's in this G1. He's got Yoshihashi and Taichi next. If it is, he manages to beat Taichi and gets a chance at KOPW. That's not good enough. Like, we need something big for Okan to redeem the, in kayfabe, absolute stinker of a tournament he's having so far.
He's had. Give me the highlight for him. Give me any big match he's been pinned. Any even medium match he's been pinned. This tournament has been a total of 2 fucking points. Think about the people who have 2 points. And he's in that mix as of right now. He's never had that moment. And how long have we been doing this? Like, we've had Great Okan in our back pocket for a decent amount. So if they were going to do something with him, wouldn't they have figured that out? Wouldn't they have at least started that by now? Because now, you're right. He is presented as fucking, jabroni. And now people are starting to catch on to that of, okay, I guess they're not going to do anything with this guy. I guess he's, you lose too often, especially when you start back. It's like, I don't like to condition people that he's a presence and a monster and somebody to look out for. I think would be easier than having him on this path that he has been on for the past year or two, and then re-educate people that, he turned the corner. What? Now we have to people have formed an opinion of him that he is just fucking mid to lower mid card at best. Why? Now you got to convince people that he's not? What the fuck?
It's a deliberate choice, them having him eliminated, and he's still got 2 matches left. That's not something that's happened by accident, and I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if this is them just seeing guys like Shota and Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji thinking these are guys that are worth investing in. Maybe they don't think Great Okan is worth investing anymore. I don't know. Again, the optimist in me is leaning towards this being a storytelling device, and I think we need to sort of check in on this later in the year, because I don't think in the slap bang in the middle of a G1 is a good time to be making sweeping judgments. And I know we have to do it for the podcast, but yeah, the booking has been weird to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't think he doesn't have it. Like, I think he could be somebody important in this company, but when has that happened? Even in a tag situation, how many times have we been like, come on, corner on the cob, come on, I mean, how great would it be for them? And at best, they have a cup of coffee. They lose, big match. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I just find it very glaring. 2 points, and he's the only one with 2 points in that B block. Just saying.
Yeah, for sure. Tarzan Boy says, question is whether you could in good conscience allow Tama and Tangaloa into another G1. No. I'd rather have a Filthy Tom, representative junior like Hiromu Despi, or give Lance another go, because specifically those 2 matches are a struggle this G1. I mean, Tama Tonga will come on to Tangaloa. I think, he's improving, but he's still not good. it's still not what I would say is the benchmark for being in a Grade 1 Climax. And he's not the only person I would say that about, but no, I think putting him in to the G1 after coming back from a long-term injury was a daft thing to do. And I stand by that, even though he is getting better to his credit and he's working hard and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's B block. C block. We've got David Finlay at the top here. He's got 8 points. So he lost to Tama Tonga in a pretty exciting match. I thought that was a good one. And he beat Hanare today. So he's still on top of the block. And I still think he's going to go through. His matches, they're not blown anyone away so far. I thought the Tama Tonga match was a lot of fun and had the sort of energy that you would expect from a dynamic Korakuen Hall highly promoted match. What was it? Was it the semi-main event? I can't even remember, actually. With Tama sneaking the win there. But again, with David Finlay, we're still missing that match that will shut up the doubters because, he is Bullet Club leader. He's going to be judged against people like Prince Devitt, AJ Styles, Kenny Omega, Jay White, and he needs that consensus match under his belt where people say, yes, this guy is a great wrestler. Hopefully that will come if he makes it out into the quarterfinals or semi-finals, which I think he will. And again, my predicted path for him is to beat Sanada in the quarterfinals and then face Okada in the semis. And if he makes it that deep, if he's in a G1 semi-final, he's got to deliver them.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff so far has been character-driven stuff. And fine, yeah, he's a heel. I expect him to be working heelish. So I'm not declaring him a fraud already just yet. But Gabe Kidd being as good as he is adding an interesting wrinkle to that because a lot of people are looking at Gabe Kidd and thinking, well, this guy should be Bullet Club leader and not Finlay.
Well, again, I think you're right in the sense that he needs to have that match. He needs to have that match that has people wanting and needing to go out of their way to watch. I hate to say it. You know what? I don't hate to say it. But that's really it. And I think once that happens, and I think it can happen, I just don't know if it will happen. It can happen. I have no doubts that it can happen if given the opportunity, right? But until that time comes, yeah. And, you don't want to kind of compare past, and this is a different New Japan. Not for nothing. If you there are expectations, right? You need to be able to deliver, not only in where it is on the card, because you're going to get the top matches if you're the leader of Bullet Club, or at least you should. So it's that, but again, more importantly, it's the fact that there is discontent within New Japan fandom, that he's not Kenny Omega, and he's not AJ Styles, and he's not Devitt, and he's not. You can go through the list. That's a span of history where the bar has been set. And while character-wise, I'm in. And I think even more so that it needs time to develop and grow. And I think he's doing an outstanding job. He doesn't have that match yet. And until he has that match, it's going to be tough sledding for a lot of people to get behind this.
He's got Shingo next. How important do you think that match is for him?
I mean, I think every match, every opportunity that he has to be in the ring with guys that have delivered on that scale consistently. I mean, that plays very good in his favor. Let's put it that way. If I need to have a banger of a fucking match to put on my resume, being in the ring with Shingo is a good fucking start, don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that's one. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, I think, to deliver in that one. And I think he has to. I mean, if he has a nothing match with Shingo, then people are going to be asking questions.
Yep. And then as you go deeper, if you run into, again, I'm just throwing names out, but guys that we know that can deliver, Okadas, Ospreys. If we're running into those guys, Zach, even Naito to a certain degree, if we're running into those guys, you got to deliver. This G1 truly is a State of the Union of where we are when it comes to a lot of these guys. And this is a mark. This is a bar that he needs to cross for him to be taken to kind of move up the ranks in people's eyes. Definitely needs it.
We got Evil also on 8 points. He's wins over Henare and Ishii. You know what you're going to get with Evil at this point. Yeah, this doesn't really deserve that much analysis. I don't. Again, he's getting booked strongly, but I'm leaning towards him. I'm seeing he's got Shingo on the last night, and that could be winner goes through. The possibility of having Evil versus Sanada is always a threat. That's it's always like Gedo hanging that one above our heads to attack us at any point to keep us in line.
Yeah,
so
we ate our vegetables. We ate our vegetables. We cleaned our plate. We did good, Gedo.
That's Evil. I think what more can I say about him? Tamatonga, he's got 7 points, so beat Finlay. Again, I thought I liked that match a lot. I thought it was good energy to it. And the Shingo match went to a draw, which was interesting. Again, decent match. Curious as to why that was the case. Maybe it's to make the points work, so perhaps Shingo can go through in second place. Maybe it's going to be Shingo Sanada in the quarterfinals, which obviously would be an interesting one given their LIJ history together. And seeing Tamatonga has got Henare on the final night, that could be Henare playing spoiler there. We know they've got history together. That wouldn't shock me. How are we feeling on Tamatonga?
Well, I mean, you were right in the sense that he's been in the mix, right? He's 7 points. Evil and Finlay have 8. He's in the mix. As much as people are swimming against the tide here, he's in the mix once again. 7 points. He's been all right. Look, am I the biggest Tamatonga guy? No, I'm not. But he's been fine. He's fine. I would have no problem having him back, truth be told. Is he something that gets me excited? No. But is he a good hand? Yeah, I think so. I think he has value. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I also think there's more love and enthusiasm from Japanese fans towards him than there is with the Western fans. So that's something worth keeping in mind. Sometimes there is that disconnect there. And every time I've seen Tama put in one of these big spots, he seems to get a lot of love from the fans. So that's worth keeping in mind as well. Eddie Kingston, he's got 6 points, lost to Ishii at Korakuen Hall, and then beat Mikey Nichols. The Ishii match was fantastic. That was everything we want from Eddie Kingston in New Japan. However, I don't think that match justifies having him in the G1 Climax. If you want to have him wrestle Ishii in Korakuen Hall, just book him in a singles match against Ishii in Korakuen Hall. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. I think his G1 is playing out pretty much how I expected it to, where that's the high point. And looking ahead, he's got Tamatonga, he's got David Finlay. I think his best match is behind him. So as long as he can not get hurt and acquit himself well in those final 2 matches, fine. And to be honest, I do think Ishii did a lot of the heavy lifting towards the end of that match where Eddie just looked like he was dead on his feet, which again added to the drama. That enhanced my enjoyment of the match because you could see that he was just sucking on wind at the end of that, as you might expect in such an intense physical match. But yeah, Eddie Kingston, a guy who thrives on having promos and blood feuds with guys, and I don't think the G1 is showcasing his strengths. I hope he's enjoying it. I'm glad he's ticked that off his bucket list, but it's not been anything to write home about in terms of in-ring quality, aside from the Ishii match.
Ishii match was great, right? I mean, that was everything that you kind of want in that type of match. Like when you book that match and you see that on paper, that's kind of what you're looking for, and they delivered tenfold, I thought. Look, he is adored because he is every man. You know, like he is every man, and he looks like every man, right? He doesn't look like someone who, who's he's certainly not a body guy. He's not going to give you the craziest Will Ospreay-esque moves with a Z or Kenny or stuff like that. Like that's not him. He's going to take crazy bumps, and he's going to take and receive. Take and receive. It's the same thing. He's going to deliver and receive hard, physical chops, punches, etc. And he does a fantastic job of getting people emotionally invested. I think that might be his greatest skill in a match where he can be that punching bag, and he can be the guy that just takes a fucking beating and still have that, okay, you're not going to keep me the fuck down, and you're not going to, I might be getting my ass kicked, but I'm going to take 5 to deliver 1, and that 1 is going to be a doozy. So there's a lot to like about him. Like, there's a lot to root for with him. And you're right, that he's able to check this off his bucket list. A guy that maybe 4 years ago, the idea of him even being in Japan wrestling, let alone G1, would have been preposterous. But yet, here we are, and that's good for him. That is a fantastic, feel-good kind of thing. Is he a guy that I would put in G1 again? Maybe. I don't think he's been as like everything that I talked about, I don't think has outstayed its welcome. Like I have no problem watching it now until the end of the tournament. But yeah, I mean it's you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. And my fear was that it would run its course, but for me personally, it hasn't yet. I've enjoyed him. I'm not looking for 900 stars from him. But yet, you put him in the ring with the right guy, and it could definitely happen. So I think he's had a very good tournament, and I appreciated him being in it.
Well, we've got Shingo Takagi on 5 points. He beat Mad Mikey Nichols in a match that went a bit weird at the end, but I quite liked it. They hit each other really hard, and the Tama Tonga draw. So, yeah, Shingo's a guy that I would not rule out of going through to the quarterfinals. I think there is value in a potential quarterfinal with him against Sanada. But, yeah, Shingo. There's not a huge amount to say about him. A guy you can always rely on to deliver at a certain level of quality in these sorts of tournaments. Mikey Nichols, 2 points. So he lost to Shingo, lost to Eddie Kingston. I appreciate the energy and enthusiasm that Mikey has brought, and the sort of borderline psychotic edge in a lot of his matches. He's gone hard in these, and I think that's won over a lot of fans. I don't think it's necessarily with a view to him going on a big singles run, but I think he and Shane Haste have added a lot of value to them as a tag team, because certainly I am more interested in TMDK as a tag team moving forward as a result of both of their singles performances in this G1, even if the results don't necessarily reflect that. Hinare, do you want me to stop? Anything you want to say about Shingo and Mikey?
No, I mean, I would just be echoing your same thoughts. Mikey's been very, very hardworking, and he's been an asset to the tournament, I think. But I think the biggest challenge is the fact that it's like if I hate to say it, but if we're talking about G1 being watered down, I mean, you're kind of starting there, right?
Yeah, I mean, the opening match he had with Hinare was so good that he's getting a pass for me.
Yeah.
If we're chopping guys off, he sort of lifted himself above the relegation zone. But it depends how big your relegation zone is. Again, if we go to 20, no chance Mikey's making the cut. But my minimum is that I want to see guys working hard, and he is working hard. So
Absolutely.
for that, I'll give him a pat on the back and say well done.
Yep.
And I would also say that to Henare, him only having 2 points, that's a bit of a disappointment. He's lost to Evil, lost to Finlay. I'm sure he is banged up and hurting, not least because of that Mikey Nichols match. I've seen him getting the cupping, so obviously he is struggling with that and must be in a lot of pain, and he's doing his best to tough that out. I'm very excited for his Ishii match. He's got that coming up next. Would have been good to see that in a better venue, like have that in Korakuen or in Osaka. That would have been a lot better. But either way, regardless of the crowd, I'm sure that's going to be a banger, as they say. And the Tamatonga match, I'm interested in that one as well. As I said, their history and also the fact that he could be playing spoiler for Tamatonga, and that may lead to something going forward. Who knows? But yeah, I've appreciated Hanare's work. Ishii also 2 points. He beat Eddie Kingston and lost to Evil. He's great. I mean, we know what Ishii can do in tournaments like this, and there's a lot of value to him. But I do wonder if his G1 days are numbered. Would not shock me to see him not included in, even if it was as early as next year. Do I think that will be the correct move? Probably not. And I know it's become sort of fashionable to scoff at Ishii and how one-note his matches are, but I still think he brings a tremendous amount of value to tournaments like this. So regardless of your feelings on him and your enjoyment of his particular match formula, you can't fault the work rate and the effort and the drama that it brings. There's always, tremendous amount of crowd energy when he's having those matches. So, Henare, Ishii, good stuff. Despite the fact that they've only got 2 points each, they, I think, are valuable to the G1 field.
Yeah, I think, the breakout has been Henare, and I think people are connecting with him and seeing what he can deliver, and I think he's making the most of the opportunity. 2 points is disappointing, but I mean, you would have thought that it would have been more, but 2 is where he's at. But I think he's been the breakout for this tournament. Like, he's been the guy that people have now, found a way to connect with. And you can't fault him for not putting 1,000% into what he's doing. From the presentation to the match quality, and the fact that, let's be truthful here, his neck is fucked. It is fucked up. And that was night 1, right? That was night 1. So you got to tip your cap to him, because he's really feeling it. And Ishii, again, he's not 20 years old. He's been doing this for years, and it's consistent. It's consistently great. And here's the thing too with Ishii. You watch that fucking Eddie Kingston match at Corkin, and again, packed house, and it's Corkin. They're diehard wrestling fans. We get it. The one thing I could not get out of my head was watching the crowd. And this was one of the first times that you see people clapping, stomping their feet, and smiling from ear to ear just at the joy of what they were watching. And Ishii seems to do that consistently. I would not take him out unless he wanted to be out. But you know him. He's a maniac. He'll stay in until he's 73. And he definitely brings value. He may not win, but he's going to be a tough bridge to cross. And that's what, from a G1 perspective, that's more than fine. You need that. But as you're going to get fucking Ishii in the right spots, deliver magic, keep him in. Keep him in as long as he wants. He's earned it. And you know what? He has earned it. And here's the thing, too. I know we're going to get to the block, but you compare Ishii and the beatings he has taken over the years, right? And compare him to some of the other guys that are in his age class. and we'll talk about a lot of them in D block. It's amazing how, and maybe he just fucking turns into a monster when he leaves the curtain. He goes past the curtain. He might not be able to move around very much outside of that, but he doesn't look that banged up as compared to others. And that's crazy to me considering what he has put his body through.
Yeah, it's not like you can say he's visibly slowing down or falling apart like other of his peers. So, yeah, I agree with you. As long as he can keep doing it at that level, keep him in. So, yeah, I'm a fan. Enjoying it. All right, D block then. We've got Jeff Cobb at the top. He's got 8 points. He beat Zack Sabre Jr. in, I thought that was a really thrilling main event at Korakuen Hall. And I thought his match against Yano, so he lost to Yano, I thought that was a lot of fun as well. They kept it short and sweet. I enjoyed the spot of him chugging the beer and going for the standing moonsault and then hitting the knees and spraying the beer everywhere. That was a lot of fun. So Jeff Cobb, I think, has been my favourite wrestler in D block.
Wow.
I've just really enjoyed him. I thought he's been working hard and all his matches have been really exciting and he's really good. And I've said before that it's a shame he got his big push during the pandemic because he deserves a run in front of the crowds. And maybe this is it. I'm more sort of leaning towards him being the guy that gets booked strongly out the gate and then his momentum fizzles out. I could see him not making out the blocks, but I kind of hope he does at this rate because I think he's been very, very good. Jeff Cobb. So let's do it in pairs again. Zack Sabre Jr. also 8 points. Again, love the Cobb match. I thought it was very fitting that finally Cobb got the win over him after their series that they've had with the TV title. And I thought his match with Shane Haste today was also very good. Obviously, they are teammates, so I knew he was going to work hard to make Shane Haste look good, and he did that. So Jeff Cobb, Zack Sabre Jr., good at this old pro wrestling thing.
Yeah. And I like Jeff Cobb's chances coming up because what has he got? Goto and Shane Haste, right? I could definitely see him winning both those matches. And then Zach has Naito and Goto, which, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him losing at least one of them, right? So, I would say Jeff might be a guy to keep an eye on. I like both of them. I think both of them have had very good tournaments, and not for nothing, they always do, right? They always do. And if this is a Jeff Cobb coming out party, then I'm there for it because you're right. He does. I don't want to say deserve it, but he's earned it.
We've got Tetsuya Naito on 6 points, so he quite shockingly lost to Shane Haste in a match that I thought was very, very good, and then beat Alex Coughlin. Bit of a nothing match, this one. He's on 6 points. He's got Zach next, which I think is a must-win for him. I'm still optimistic that he is going through. But he has not looked at his absolute best in this tournament. He is a guy who I think if you compare his output to last year, it's a step below. And last year he was being called upon to deliver in some very high-profile spots. And there was a series with Okada and the series with Will Ospreay. So I forgive him for not going at that same intensity, but all the same, it's a guy that I'm side-eyeing. I'm not on the sort of Naito is washed camp because I still think he's one of the best wrestlers in the company. But I'm curious as to is this another situation where my love for Naito is not going to match with the booking plans for Naito. So that's one to keep an eye on going forward. But again, I thought the Shane Haste match was really great, and Naito was very, very good in that one. Tanahashi also on 6 points, beat Yano, beat Goto.
Go ahead.
Tanahashi. We need to be drawing things to a close with him and G1s. I think we need to be having a serious think about whether he's entering next year, and then if he is entering next year, whether that's going to be his last one. I think it should be. I think that would be the smart thing to do next year, bill it as Tanahashi's final G1, milk that for a bit of money. I was just watching the main event today between Tanahashi and Goto, and both of them are banged up. Goto's hurt. Tanahashi's not falling apart, but he's
falling
clearly. Apart. And I was just saying, why is this the main event? What are we doing with broken down Tanahashi and broken down Goto being the main event? And the match was okay. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it, but it was kind of emblematic of D Block and my lack of interest in it, because it feels like these matches we've seen a million times before, but when we saw them before, they were better because they were with the same guys, but when they weren't all busted up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, D Block has a lot of the star power of, the guys that everyone kind of associates with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Naito, Goto, Tanahashi, even Yano to a certain degree. It's a block that depresses me really, because it's like, okay, like I got to consistently watch guys that at one point were the best in the world, and they're not anymore. They're not. And again, they all have the mental wherewithal to have a great match. It's just that the body is not cooperating with a lot of them, and it's sad to see, but it is a part of pro wrestling, and especially working the style that they did for as long as they did. Tanahashi physically looks 2 steps behind. He can't even run, like whipping him into the turnbuckle. I cringe, because he is walking into the turnbuckle. He's Andre the fucking Gianting into the turnbuckle.
He's Andres a giant pandering into the turnbuckle.
Yes. Like, it's just, and then now the thing is, don't hit the high fly flow because we don't need it, and he's going to go up to the rope and struggle and get up there, and I don't know. Look, it's, to me, it's, I understand why he's there. He's Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's ace, but
and he's still alive. There's still a chance of him to go through, Damon. This is the wild thing.
Yeah, he's
got Coughlin and Naito next. He's definitely going to. He's absolutely going to get like a 2-minute, inside cradle win over Coughlin, and that match with Naito on the final night is going to be him with a serious chance of going through.
Yeah. And Naito, not for nothing, I feel like he's lost 2 steps. Like, I just, like, there is a drop off there that is pretty significant. And with all the, all the physical stuff that he has, from, the eye to the knees to, I feel like with more so with Tanahashi, but with Naito, it's like I feel like we're on borrowed time, and that's weird. I can't say it's weird to me, but it's, you look at like Yuji Nagata, or it feels like they all had better late year, and I'm talking physically, the better off. Tenzan aside, Tenzan can't even fucking move his ankle at this point. But if I think about it, they're close to the same ages as when we were talking about the dads, ruling the roost. It's time. Father time, Joel.
What a depressing block this is to talk about. Okay, yeah, so we've done Goto as well. Shane Haste on 4 points. Yeah, really terrific match against Naito. Was not necessarily expecting that from him, certainly not the result. And I thought he performed really well in his defeat to Zack. Very much like Mikey, I think these performances have enhanced my investment in a TMDK tag title challenge, not necessarily singles runs for both guys. Although he is a very talented singles wrestler, I just think that those days have passed him by, and I don't think there's an opportunity for him to go on a singles run in New Japan. But tag stuff, definitely interested in, especially with Aussie Open leaving. I think there is a lot of goodwill in the fan base towards TMDK that they should capitalise on. So I think it's worth going back to that well and seeing what we've got with the G1 behind them and with an increased connection to the fan base. Alex Coughlin on 2 points. He defeated Goto, well, injured Goto, and then lost to Naito in a bit of a nothing match. He's been all right. It's been a little bit of a disappointment. I think he's not quite the polished article in terms of singles wrestling. I think it's good for him that he's in the tag program primarily at this point in his career. I think he's a clear few steps below Gabe Kidd in terms of his wrestling work. But he'll get there because, relatively speaking, compared to a lot of these guys, he is still a rookie. So he's got time on his side, and I think he's got the look, and I thought the promos have been fantastic. So hopefully the ring work will follow in time. And yeah, Yano, 2 points. Yeah, he's been all right actually. I haven't hated his stuff as much as I have in previous years. So he's come up with some newer material, some stuff that has been genuinely quite entertaining. So I'll tip my hat to Yano.
What does that say about the block? That Yano is like, all right, it's not that bad. Maybe we were wrong about Yano. What does that say? Speaks for volumes. And Coughlin, he can always go back to being the android, so he's got it made in the show. He's fine. Android. Remember that for 2 weeks.
Just needs a software update.
Yeah, he needs to go to Linux. He needs to go to Kali Linux. All right, very good.
All right, well, that's it. We will hopefully be speaking to you again on Thursday after the next two shows, where we'll have a clearer picture on the final nights. So, do I have anything else? Let's see. In-ring art says over under for remaining G1s for Tanner, 1.5. For Joel, my almost 12-year-old son is becoming an Arsenal fan. How big is them getting Declan Rice? Yeah, it is big. He's future captain of the club, future England captain. Very well could be. So he is definitely a statement of intent for Arsenal. The fact that we spent over £100 million on him is insane, quite frankly. But he's the guy that's been identified to fill in that Granit Xhaka-shaped gap in our midfield now that he's gone to Leverkusen. So I think it's going to be an exciting year ahead for us. I think just for what it represented, just as much as the actual acquisition of the player himself. But yeah, under remaining G1s for Tanner, 1.5. Oh, I'd say over that, man. Let's just have one more. You think he's going to do more?
Yeah.
If it was up to me, it would be under. But probably going to be over by a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be over. I know. 10 years from now, we're like, why is this motherfucker still in G1? I'm going over.
Cola Blue says, what's the story with Fale? I don't remember him ever missing a G1. Is he injured, retired, or has he entered Tenzan territory? He hasn't had an impressive singles match in ages, so I get it, but I don't think he's wrestled since December. I think he's primarily interested in doing his stuff with the dojo. I think he's doing valuable work over there, so I think his time in New Japan as a singles wrestler, at least, is done. You might see him popping up for World Tag League again. Was he in World Tag League last year?
Wasn't he? Yeah, I think so, right? Was he? I think so. That's the last time we saw him.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's mainly dojo stuff. Although I do enjoy his Instagram account where he does stuff like goes to the shop, buys a roast chicken and a hot dog, and then puts the roast chicken pieces in the hot dog. These little things that he does. It's quite fun to watch.
Even he puts the chicken in the hot dog?
Slightly queasy. Yeah. So he would peel off a big chunk of roast chicken and put it on the hot dog.
Oh, all right. That's a combination for sure. All right.
SM North says, sorry for this long-winded, borderline, irrelevant question right now. I know you were fed up of speculating about this Bullet Club Civil War, but we've just seen a wholesale revamp of Bullet Club proper with various old guards still in the fold. House of Torture, Bullet Club represented in Impact, and Bullet Club Gold seemingly adding new members in AEW. As Joe Lanza reported, and I'm paraphrasing, the Civil War angle is going to take place over multiple promotions with lots of twists and turns on the way. Are we actually right in the middle of it rather than waiting for Krusty. No, I don't think the stuff going on at the moment was what Joe mentioned before. I think that Civil War angle has been and gone, and it was a big wet fart. So no, I think the stuff that's happening now is several steps past what that original plan was.
Yeah, which is amazing. Once again, maybe I'm just going to throw this out here, Joel, as we close with 2 hours in a podcast. Is it time for Gator to step down?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. That's that. Hit the music, Dan.
The Musketeers tweet showed me he still got it.
Okay.
Because that's genius.
All right.
And an A block. Just look at A block, man. That's genius booking.
All right. I'm with you. I'll give him a little bit more rope.
Yeah.
All right. I know, but there's a lot of dropped things. A lot of things that you think were just okay. Somebody who's brain dead could figure this out. And it's like, well, and this Bullet Club Civil Wars is probably top of the list, right?
Let's do one more question before we get out of here from our good friend Antonio. He says, what type of Brazilian do you and Damon prefer? Do you prefer a skillful one or a goal-scoring one? He specifically says, I want Damon, because I know your picks. What type he prefers, you can only pick two. So do you have two favourite Brazilian football players?
Oh, I was going to say my favourite Brazilian is about 5 foot. Yeah, very, very cute. Look, I don't know that much about football. But I would say that I do prefer in my football player. I do like skill and speed. Like that means a lot because goals are hard to come by, very hard to come by. So anybody who can consistently dazzle, push the offense, and make it not just this game of ball possession, but to be creative and skillful in putting the ball in the net. I can appreciate that a lot.
Gabriel Martinelli, he's my favourite Brazilian. He's got it all. He's got pace, he's got skill, he's got goals. He is going to be an absolute legend in the future, I'm sure. So there's a name to remember for the future, Damon. All right, that will do for today. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. If you want to show some appreciation by sending us some money, always appreciated. If you want to join the Discords, don't. If you really do, then send me a direct message on Twitter. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast for our t-shirts. Thanks, as always, to editor Dan, who's on Twitter at NiceHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling podcast network for other great shows. Oh, and you can also catch me on the episode of The Draft that I did with Chris Samsa and Sean and Griffin, where we all picked our G1 rosters, and mine was the best, even though the vote may not necessarily reflect that. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at the SuperJcast. Thank you everybody for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye to Asia for Joel.
Yeah, bye Thailand.
Hi, my name is Tyler Fornes, and I am the co-host of The Good, the Bad, and the Hunky here on the Voice Wrestling Podcasting Network. Every week, my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling and everything going on in the universe of Tony Khan. We talk about Dynamite, we talk about Rampage, and we will talk about Collision when the time comes as well, along with all the appearances outside of AEW from all the best talents in All Elite Wrestling. This is one of the more cohesive wrestling companies in the entire world, and we discuss every intricacy about it, including the unique booking of Tony Khan that is both a huge positive and a major detriment. Check us out every single Thursday here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-star match game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.